So on
That's
the
in
third time,
94.
the third time I took a shot in the ribs, I finally got up and went and bought the course. And we had some success doing short sales. Okay. But it brought me into a circle of influence with guys like Greg Clement, who he and I co-founded RealFlow together in 2006, 2007. And I recognized that there had to be a completely different way of doing short sales for the back-to-back closings. So with the help of some really good people at a title company, we brainstormed a way to do it. I papered it all up. And then the marketing engine that Greg Clement knows how to run just took it and it went viral. And so I went from being just an average attorney in Northeast Ohio, but a guy who knew short sales really well, to now I'm an expert. Okay, now I'm an expert. All right. So, but I'm going to a point here. I got to the point where I couldn't stand short sales anymore, particularly after I encountered this guy out of Mississippi who was then living in Dallas, Texas, who's got this funny accent, but is razor sharp when it comes to notes. And when I understood that I could be the bank instead of the boy standing there with the bowl asking for more porridge from the bank, I was like, forget short sales. I'm buying bad paper because I want to buy bad paper. So we start doing that a little bit. And one of the first deals I did really of significance in that arena was my business partner, who's still my business partner to this day, Greg Clement. He and I co-founded RealFlow. If I haven't mentioned that before, I'll mention it another 9 times. He was chasing this one prized property in Brunswick, Ohio. And all of a sudden, the bank, which had it in foreclosure, decided they had to hit the gas because bank regulators were on them. They needed to get this thing sold. It'd been with a receiver for a year. There wasn't enough time to do a short sale. So I just approached the attorney representing the bank about buying the notes. Buy the notes, buy the default, buy the judgments, buy everything. We negotiated a price where we bought it at probably a number that would make everybody jealous today. We bought about $6.5 million for less than 1.7.
Oof.
Okay. We did this in 2011.
Okay.
He has turned that property around because I orchestrated it, and I orchestrated the paperwork and the strategies, and Greg executes. And Greg is just a great communicator with people. Today, we shortly backed our way into a favorable deed in lieu of foreclosure that I could get insured. And then that let him 6 months later get an SBA loan in place. The SBA attorneys were like, how in the world do you do this? We don't know how you did it, but we're impressed. We can fund this thing. And Greg has now taken this thing that he put 1.7 into, and it's probably worth about 15 million today. And it is a cash cow. And we've done it since then on other stuff. So that's a little bit about how I got into notes. And then it gets a little more complicated because short sales were getting harder and harder to do. And I don't know if anybody on this call ever remembers countrywide number 10 in the short sale approval letters. And that was the beginning of me starting to have to work on policy at the national level. And so number of trips to Capitol Hill, number of meetings with members of Congress. Finally, we got FHFA, which was then chaired by a Republican member of Congress, to put the weight on Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and everybody else. Says, hey, listen, these 180-day short sale restrictions, deed restrictions, verboten, no way. We'll let you restrict it for 30 days, then we can resell, and after 90 days, unlimited. So we got that pushed through. Took a few years to get that done. Nothing happens fast in Washington, D.C., except posturing in front of a camera. Man, they're in a hurry to do that, okay? So, yeah, and I mean, and I got a lot of guys that I think are friends, good friends of mine on both sides of the aisle, members of Congress, but whatever. So that got me involved in the politics and the policy issues. And then one day we're there for some meetings, and a friend of mine, chief operating officer at National RIA, says, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, we have a meeting at CFPB today. They want to talk about land installment contracts. Okay. You're coming because you're the expert. And I looked at him and I smiled and I said, well, thanks for the notice. Let's go. So we show up at CFPB and it's a room of like 18 people. There's myself, my friend from National RIA, and one other individual I can't remember. And then there's 15 people from CFPB, and they start hammering on all the things they don't like about land contract.
Who don't know, what is land stolen contracts and what is CFPB? Because some people have no clue what we're talking about.
Okay. And what year was this that you sat down with those guys?
2015, 2014. I don't remember.
So it's after Dodd-Frank has been brought in.
Is as Dodd-Frank is showing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for some context. All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Land contract, contract for deed, land contracts,
land installment contract, bond for deed, contract for deed, all of these different terms where it's, hey, we have a written agreement that you make the payments and at the end I give you the deed to the property.
Yep.
Okay.
And what is CFPB in
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? Created out of the housing meltdown.
Yeah.
Completely woke, progressive organization, been operated pretty much by some very powerful liberals. At the time I was there, Richard Cordray, former Attorney General of the state of Ohio, was running it, you know. And anyhow, but at the end of the day, with this day-long meeting at CFPB on land contracts, I felt like we walked out of there having shown them that they did not have the regulatory authority that they thought they would have.
Okay.
Because they ran into this thing that I had to remind them called the 10th Amendment, where every state has the right to regulate things within their own jurisdiction, and every state has laws on their books regarding how real estate is bought and sold in their state.
Mm-hmm.
And land installment contracts, land contracts, bond for deed, whatever you call it, is regulated in every state. There's a statute in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they still wanted to do some things, and I heard what they had to say, and I agreed with some of their concepts, and I'll share some of those concepts today because it applies whenever you're originating any kind of seller financing. These are things that if you do these things, you're going to have two results. You're going to have a better note, you're going to have a better deal, and you're going to have less heartburn later on. So, you know, we'll get into that. But that's a long meandering background on part of my life, you know. And just to bring everybody up to speed, I still am involved in Washington, D.C. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. Earlier this week, I was in Columbus, Ohio at the State House, some meetings there, once again on housing policy, some stuff going on in Ohio that we've managed to throttle down. I mean, National RIA does more for people than they realize on this kind of stuff. But last week, my good friend, Congressman Andy Barr out of Kentucky, released a bill. It's another version of the bill we've been working on for years. Vicente Gonzalez, Henry Cuellar, also friends of mine, Democrats out of Texas, and William Posey, Republican out of Florida, immediately jumped on as co-sponsors. It's HR 3464. HR 3464. It will go into Dodd-Frank and Truth in Lending and the SAFE Act, all three of those obnoxious bills, and find that ridiculously low number of 3 in a 12-month period of time and turn the knob from 3 to 24.
Yes.
Oh,
excellent.
So
when is that happening?
So those who are listening right now, and I hate to interrupt, most of you guys don't know anything about this 3. You guys are probably originating 15 loans without using any kind of licensing and RMLO and going, what do you mean I can't do that? And Jeff's going to get into why we can't do that. But what Jeff's saying now is the rule has been 3 in 12 months. He's now turned up that volume to be able to do 24. So, but however, if you are creating notes more than 3 a year, you're violating federal law. So the volume is being turned up.
Yeah, so we're gonna get that now. This is a bill that we have been pushing since 2015 in various forms. Congressman Roger Williams, Republican out of Texas, was the first one to get on board. So we've seen it when the Obama administration was in control is when we started on this. Throughout the entire Trump administration, we were so close at one point in time during the Trump administration of getting this bill to move out of the House, out of committee, through the House, off the floor, and get it over to the Senate. And we had a very obstinate and absent Republican member of Congress from New Mexico thwart us. And it really frustrating. But the good news now is the lead sponsor on this bill co-chairs a subcommittee on the financial services side, and Republicans control that committee now since it's in the House, and we're going to make this bill move. And I believe we're going to get a Senate companion bill, because now previous members of Congress that used to sponsor it in the House are now members in the Senate. So we're going to get them to come on board. So we're going to make this thing move, get it further than ever before. I feel like instead of being on the 10-yard line with 90 yards to go, I feel like we're probably just outside the red zone now.